last night I put on the documentary that came out in November 2020, just called Zappa. And it's a 2-hour documentary of collections of interviews with people, personal footage that he shot, various things along those lines. And I just put it on to try to get an education on him, because I've been going through the records. I've been going through Hot Rats. I've been going through Zoot Allures. I've been going through Live at the Roxy, a lot of the 70s stuff. And I said, let me try to get a clear picture of Zappa. So here's my takeaway of the 2020 documentary that they did on him. First off, it felt a little more personal than I expected, because his family was involved in producing it, which I guess is natural. The other thing, too, is that I didn't expect to relate to him as much as I did. I had some preconceived notions about Zappa. I figured he was probably a drug head. You know what I mean? Natural conclusion to make. I sort of identify with some messages of the drug 60s movement, but I'm not a super nut, by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't really relate to some of those guys when they get too out there. And that's the thing that struck me. Zappa, very sober, only smokes cigarettes. The other thing, too, coming up in a small town, the way that he felt about his small town is really the way that I kind of feel. One thing I can explain to people is this. I'm in a big, small town. So there's a few million people, and we're on the map in a lot of ways that a smaller place with a smaller population wouldn't be, but there's still that small town mentality in a lot of ways. And, people of different ethnicities feel that. There's a lot of different aspects to that. And Zappa's story, coming up, trying to play just whatever music sounded good to him, in an era where stores were still asking for all white patrons. He was trying to buy records from some of the great black jazz players and guitar pioneers and a lot of the guys that I like too. And that's something I've always related to. I've never picked between white culture or black culture. Not that I have a goddamn choice, technically. But I've never made it a priority, and I've never even thought about that. So I related to him a lot, because he was just like, I like this music, and this music is just as good as this music, and he didn't care who made it. So I definitely relate to that, man. And coming up in a small town as a creative is not an easy thing to do. Even here, I face a lot of trouble, and I've faced a lot of things that hopefully I can help open the door so that people don't have to face that as bad as I have. But I digress. But that was one of the things that I related to Zappa on, is that when you're in a small town, people just want you to shut up and be out of the way and, get the best salary that you can get or whatever. There's no encouragement for creativity in 99% of your surroundings. And his wife made the great point that the world is really against you. And that's sort of where I'm at now. I'm a creative in my early 20s. There's a lot of times that I feel like the whole world is against me, which is insane because there's so many people, that we can share the work with. But it's just different in your immediate surroundings when you're in that environment. The other thing that really struck me before I wrap this up, because I could talk all night, was just the fact that it's yet another example of someone who wasn't afraid to speak their mind. This guy just got up there and said what he thought, said what he felt, and that's something that's rare. That's something that's rare, especially now. And I think that is a big reason why I am drawn to culture that was existing before I was alive. Is because I really don't relate to the culture I exist in very much. There are pockets within it that I relate to, but never will I relate to it as much as the stuff that predates me. So that has always been a difficult, bizarre marriage, because I kind of feel like I've been born in the wrong era in terms of sort of understanding my surroundings and having my surroundings understand me, if that makes sense. But if I was born in any other era, you would not be hearing this right now. So it's really a catch-22.